Divas, it's time. Hello and welcome to my first video. My name is Xander, and instead of doing some boring 20 questions get to know you stuff, I just wanted to talk about the Monster High movies, and I feel like that will give you a good idea of who I am as a person. So, technically, the first two movies are New Girl at School and Fright On, but movie is a strong word. The first one is 20 minutes, and the second one is 45 minutes. They're both 2D animated, which is just less interesting to me. I prefer the 3D animated ones, I'm sorry. New Girl at School just introduces the characters, and Fright On is about exchange students from the Vampire and Werewolf Academies, and they have beef. Which, okay, Twilight. This is not the only Twilight reference, because in a later movie there's a vampire named Edward and a vampire named Jacob. Not a werewolf, a vampire. So the first 3D animated movie is Why Do Ghouls Fall in Love, and it follows Draculaura in her sweet 1600th birthday, but there's evil afoot, in the form of a vampire named Valentine, which is Draculaura's ex-boyfriend, and he intends to steal Draculaura's heart for his collection, leaving her heartbroken. And Valentine learned where Draculaura was from Torlai. How did she get his number? I don't have much to say about this movie. It was low-key a giant nothing burger. Like, it starts, we find out about Draculaura's past. Claude, her boyfriend, struggles to get her a gift. She gets possessed by Valentine into falling in love with him, but Claude breaks the spell because his love for Draculaura is real. I don't have much else to say, only that Valentine is canonically gay and has a boyfriend in the comics, which we love. And yes, there are comics, and no, I'm not talking about them, but the Monster High lore goes deep. This movie starts off at a spring break carnival where Laguna is telling Gil and her ghoul friends that she's going back to her home of the Great Scarier Reef and they want to go with her. Well, the girls do. Gil, Laguna's boyfriend, is dragging his feet because he doesn't like the ocean or saltwater because he's a freshwater fish. Dude, you are dating a saltwater monster? Either get over it or just date someone else. So they're on this boat to the Great Scarier Reef, but it gets attacked by a kraken and they become shipwrecked, only to be saved by a traveling salesman by the name of Bartleby Farnham, who is voiced by Keith Silverstein, who voices Hawkmoth and Miraculous Ladybug. And he at first wanted to steal their monster parts, like Draculaura's fangs and Frankie's bolts, but he pivots once he realizes that Frankie looks familiar. I think I've seen this ghoul before. He has in fact not seen her before. She just looks like a researcher who has visited Skull Shores in the past, and Farnham wants to use her likeness to lure out the Beast of Skull Shores, since she was able to communicate with him in the past. And he wants this beast to be part of a circus freak show thing. And once they get to Skull Shores, they meet the Tiki, who treat Frankie like a queen, and Cleo is so jealous. And guys, I love Cleo.
Decorating? Decorating? They made me cook and clean!
She's like Chloe from Miraculous if she wasn't a terrible person. Like, no shade to Chloe, I love her too. But Chloe is high-key evil, and Cleo is not. At this party, Frankie gets kidnapped by the Beast, his name is Andy, and Farnham is still after them. Andy takes Frankie away and explains to her that when he gets stressed, he grows in size and becomes the Beast. Why did they call him a beast? That feels racist. For a series that promotes, not letting our differences separate us, they are all so racist. Like Gil. He is still making saltwaterist remarks to his girlfriend and then abandons her to get captured by Farnham. Back to Frankie and Andy, my question is, how old is this man? The research footage that we see is in black and white, and he's the legend of Skull Shores, implying that he's been there for hundreds of years, but he gets with a teenager and then goes to high school later? How old is this man? And I don't think he should be getting with a teenager. So they all meet up, and they go back to Monster High with the help of Gil and his ocean friends because he finally got over himself and went to the Great Scarier Reef to get help, but Farnham follows them with a tracker that he planted in Frankie's necklace. But his henchman betrays him, and then he gets arrested, and we never see Andy again. I mean, we do. I mean, we technically do. He's in the next movie, and like he's seen in the background, but his relationship with Frankie is never brought up again, which I think is good because I don't actually trust that he is a teenager. He also never got a doll, which I feel like he should have. So IMDb says that the next movie is Ghouls Rule, but it's literally not. It's Friday Night Frights. And Friday Night Frights has probably aged the worst out of all of the movies, which is sad because I loved this movie as a kid. It was low-key my favorite. I don't know why, but it was. But the sexism is insane. All of the boys are so mean to the girls, the ghouls, saying like Scream is a boys' sport and I don't want to be on a team with a girl. Like shut the fuck up. Scream is Monster High Roller Derby, by the way, which is so lesbian. I'll talk about how gay these movies are later. But in this movie, Claude, the captain of the Scream team, gets injured by the cheating gargoyles, losing the tournament and having to give up their school crest, which contains their school spirit, and without it, their school is literally falling apart. I know it's a lot, so try and keep up. So the ghouls decide to start their own Scream team, and this is where the sexism starts, because they're all so pissy about the girls being on the Scream team. Once again, shut the up. Like, I know it's supposed to teach the lesson of girls can do anything boys can do, which, like, is important, but why do they have to make everyone suck? Especially their boyfriends. Like, why am I supposed to root for these couples when they have zero respect for women? And like Claude, he's so supportive of Draculaura in like other movies. Like there was a whole movie about how like about his love for Draculaura, but he doesn't believe her at first. He does come around and help them, but still. I think the reason I liked this movie so much as a kid was because of Ghoulia. Like, I love Ghoulia, and she eats down this movie, fully rebuilding a robot and creating sentient life. This is Rebecca Steam, and she was a famous Scream player, and she's a girl. Until she was killed and her parts were spread around the Scream track. What? This movie also introduces Rochelle and Operetta, and they're cool. I like them, but they don't do much or add much to this movie. I fully forgot Rochelle was in this movie. I thought she was introduced in Scaris. But despite all odds, Toralei, Monster High wins the championship, and sexism has ended, I guess. This was another one of my favorite movies as a kid, but it is also aged far worse than all of the other ones. So it is Halloween, which is a time where the humans bully, torture, and kill monsters. The monsters are watching this movie that tells them that, like, no matter what, just don't be seen on Halloween. Bars. And Frankie is like, but why does it have to be like that? And then, boom, the school gets egged and TV'd by two humans. I'm not gonna call them normies. The reason why this movie has aged terribly is because it's supposed to be an allegory for racism, which is important to teach. So I understand why, like, the humans are racist to the monsters in these movies, but they make the monsters so racist to the humans, so it completely washes away the message. Anyway, the monsters want to get back at the humans, and they're led by Cleo, who's being manipulated by her family. It's a whole thing. But Frankie is like, Halloween shouldn't be like this, and her, Abby, Spectra, and Operetta explore the catacombs and find the Hall of Halloween, where they learn the real origins of Halloween. It used to be a night where the humans would show their appreciation for the monsters, and it would end with a lavish ball with gorgeous costumes. Once they find out about this, they want to tell everyone, because, like, obviously, but why don't they just bring them to the hall? They don't do that until the end of this movie. Once we finish that exposition, a group of monsters led by Cleo sneak into the human town to get them back, but they end up at a human Halloween house party where we meet the villain of this movie, this diva, Lilith Van Hellscream. She is the niece of a famous monster hunter, and she wants to follow in his footsteps, which is big yikes for our monster main characters because she finds out that there are monsters at this party, and then she calls the cops on them, and they have to run away, but Holt got. Who is Holt, you might be asking, because I haven't explained his character until now? Holt Hyde and Jackson Jekyll are the son of Jekyll and Hyde, a man who has like a demon other half that comes out at night, and how they portray that in Jackson slash Holt is he lives most of his life as Jackson, but whenever he listens to music, he turns into Holt. And Jackson is a human, well, Holt is a monster, so Jackson gets bullied a lot at school. Okay, so Holt gets arrested by the police, but they take his headphones, so he turns back into Jackson, and then the police officer is like, WTF, where did that blue guy go? The police officers in this movie suck. I shouldn't be surprised. And they take Jackson to the human school where he befriends Claire and this other guy. Also, Claire should have gotten a doll. She's so cool. But Jackson has to flee because the school band starts playing, and music is a no no for Jackson, especially when Holt is literally on the run from the police. Okay, I feel like this has been going on for too long, so I'm gonna try and speedrun this. The group of monsters gets in trouble for sneaking out. Deuce breaks up with Cleo because she isn't being herself and is just following everything her family says. Holt gets captured by the police again and is being framed for pranks that Lilith and her two goons have been doing to make the monsters look bad, which is working. But Frankie's group, with the help of Claire and Man, make her see the error in her ways. She apologizes to Cleo, Cleo apologizes to her. It's so gay. They should kiss. Like, the way they're complimenting each other's outfits, I'm getting sidetracked. So, they stop Holt from being fucking murdered by the trick-or-treatment by leading all of the humans and the monsters to the Hall of Halloween where they learn the real magic of Halloween. Happy ending. Also, these outfits live in my head rent-free. Especially Cleo's. I always wanted this doll as a kid, but I never had it. But now that I'm an adult with adult money, I might need to get her off of eBay. Also, Claire kisses Jackson at the end of this movie, and she's never seen again. Justice for Claire, I love her. Scarus was actually good. It focused less on social commentary and more on actually having a good plot. So the ghouls go to Scarus because Claudine was invited there by this evil ghost fashion lady. Obviously, she's the villain, and she's trying to get Claudine to change her style so that she can steal it. The B plot, which I like more, focuses on Frankie and Rochelle trying to find her lost boyfriend, who was imprisoned by said evil ghost lady, to steal his designs. In this movie, we also meet Skelita and Jennifer. whenever Jennifer, whenever Jennifer is on screen, they play this like Chinese music, and it's so funny.
Are you going to study under her too? Oh yes, this is Jenny Fire. She is super talented. Show her.
They do this for like every non-white character because whenever Cleo's on screen, they play Egyptian music. I don't have much to say about this movie. I know I already said it has like an actual plot, but it was kind of really boring. It's your standard fashion movie, stay true to yourself BS. I'm just glad that this was the first movie that didn't age like actual milk. But for it being a fashion movie, all of these outfits were more boring than the plot of this movie. Like there was this scene at the beginning where they were doing this flash mob to show off Claudine's outfits, and they were so bad. There was also this post-credit mini-movie that follows everyone getting back to Monster High, but shenanigans ensue, and I just don't care. The only interesting thing is that Claudine's sketchbook comes to life and has a mind of its own. 13 Wishes actually slays so hard. I wouldn't say it's the best Monster High movie because that's Haunted, but it's definitely the second best. My only qualm with this movie is that it follows Claudine's younger sister Howleen, which is not my problem, I love her, but they whitewash her. They got rid of her natural hair, which sucks because we never see Claudine with natural hair, and the only other character that we see with naturally coily hair is in the next movie, but she's blue. Back to 13 Wishes, this movie starts off at the start of the next school year, and Howleen is talking with Twyla, her girlfriend, about how she wishes that she was popular. And this is one of the gayest movies. I mean, they're all gay, but there is no heterosexual explanation for the relationship that Howleen and Twyla have. They are so in love, and it is so cute. Howleen gets herself and some of the main ghouls in trouble by using too much electricity, and they're punished by having to clean the attic of the school where they find the lamp. I also lied. The actual start of this movie was an exposition about the lamp and Gigi. She can grant the Finder 13 wishes, but she has this evil shadow sister named Wisp that tries to manipulate the Finder into giving Wisp ultimate power. But she can be defeated by using this like specific mirror, and Gigi did this to the last user, which ended up shattering the mirror into 13 pieces. Back to now, Howleen rubs the lamp, and her first wish is that they weren't in detention anymore. And once they leave, Gigi tells Howleen that there's a dark side to the wishes and that she shouldn't use them for selfish reasons. I love subtle foreshadowing. There's also an eclipse in 3 days, just keep this in your back pocket for now. There's also several side plots, like most Monster High movies, but one of them is Abby, who is running for student disembodied president. Once again, just keep this in your back pocket for now. Howleen's second wish is for Gil's parents to like Laguna, which turns her into Freshwater Laguna, who is the best character in this entire series. She is so funny. I love her so much. We'll check back in on her later. Her third wish is for Claude and his friends to be on their favorite TV show, Die Trying, which is another side plot in this movie, but it's not as interesting. Her fourth wish is for Abby to be student disembodied president. Like, she is using the wishes to help other people, but we learn that the wishes aren't exactly what everyone wanted. Abby is stressed, the boys hate being on the show, and Laguna just isn't herself anymore. The message of this movie is pretty basic, you know, like be careful what you wish for, but the plot was interesting, so it doesn't matter. Helene then gets bullied in the bathroom by these like vampire girls, and then Wisp appears to whisper in her ear to make her first selfish wish, and she wishes to be popular. Popular. You wanna be popular. Cleo also bullies Howleen, and her sixth wish is to make Cleo a nobody, which is also really funny. So Claudine is starting to worry about her sister, so she goes to talk to her, and Wisp convinces Howleen that she's an obstacle that needs to be removed, and she wishes for her to disappear, sending her inside the lamp, leaving only an evil shadow Claudine behind. Inside the lamp, Claudine's outfit eats so hard, and there are dolls of the inside the lamp outfits, and I low-key need them. But back outside the lamp, we also see that Howleen is starting to become like gray, and Gigi is crying that Howleen is listening to Wisp, and she explains to Frankie, Dracula, and Ghoulia that Wisp is evil, and she's trying to gain ultimate power, and she needs the eclipse, remember that, to do so. So Frankie has the idea of going into the lamp to get Claudine out to talk to her sister, and Gigi gives them this like orb thing that will teleport them back outside. They take the orb and they go annoy Howleen, causing her to wish them away, and then inside the lamp they meet up with Claudine and she explains to them Wisp's backstory, and that they need to get the pieces of the mirror to save Howleen. The first piece is in a room with spinning blades, but Claudine gets it so easily. I think they're realizing that this movie has too many side plots already. Back outside the lamp, Howleen wishes for Abby to go away, to fire Headmistress Bloodgood, and for Cleo to go away, and leaving her with 2 wishes left, and Abby and Cleo are sent inside the lamp, and the eclipse is tomorrow. Dun dun dun. Even inside the lamp, nobody knows Cleo, and it's still hilarious. They get the second piece in a fire room and the third piece in a water room. We then jump cut to them having 12 pieces. I get it, I want to be done with this movie too. We're almost there though. The last piece was supposed to be in Wisp's bedroom, but it wasn't there. It is outside the lamp with Wisp. They escape with flying carpets and the orb, and they go save Howleen. Her outfit is so cool here that she should have gotten a doll like this. We only got a doll of her at the start of the movie. Okay, anyways. The eclipse happens, Wisp becomes real, and Twyla takes the last piece from her and they show Howleen the mirror saving her. The end of this movie was so good, like with Howleen finding her inner self and she doesn't need to be popular to be happy, and the sister parallels with like Howleen and Claudine and Gigi and Wisp, they were just so good. So Howleen uses her 12th wish to undo all of the other wishes and her 13th wish to make Wisp the new genie of the lamp, freeing Gigi to go to Monster High, and then the lamp falls into the deep end of the pool. This movie was, like, so good. I feel like I didn't do it enough justice. Go watch 13 Wishes after this video. This movie also ends with Caddy Noir singing a rendition of Magic Carpet Ride, which is so slay. Okay, that was a lot, so I'm gonna try to not spend too much time on Fright's camera action, because It was okay. Like, it wasn't the best, but it also wasn't the worst. I do like the vampire lore that we get in this movie, though. This movie starts off with the movie inside the movie. It is a very Twilight-esque love triangle, except they're all vampires. One boy is Edward, like I mentioned at the start of this video, and the other one is Alucard, who is usually the name for Dracula's son, but in this he doesn't have a son. He has a daughter, Draculaura, who is upset that this movie doesn't accurately depict the vampire court, which she was once a part of. And she explains that the vampires are led by a queen, but she's been missing for years. We then meet the villain, Lord Stoker, and his Igor sidekick. He's been the one leading the vampires while they're searching for the queen, and he's definitely let the power go to his head. Some other members of the vampire court show up and tell him that if he doesn't find the queen soon, he will be fired, and so he lies and says that he's already found her. His plan is to use Draculaura as a decoy queen, controlling her from behind the scenes. So he goes to Monster High with a fake vampire heart, which is supposed to glow in the presence of the queen, and brings Draculaura and some of her ghoul friends to Transylvania. The group going on this adventure is Draculaura, obviously, Claudine, Cleo, Rebecca, and Hoodooed Voodoo. No Frankie? Like, these movies are so inconsistent with who is a main character, because in the theme song, they say the names of Frankie, Draculaura, Claudine, Laguna, and Cleo.
Yeah, Becca's falling apart. Draculaura stealing my heart. Heart clouding, most make out the moon. Ow, look at this fish in this lagoon. Clear now, you're sober, Kyle, even though you act so vile. These my ghouls, my skeleton, little strange, but so are you. Don't you want to be a monster too?
And then we see a shot of the five of them plus Abby, Gulia, and Spectra. So I would think that the five of them would be the main characters, and then the other three would be like secondary main characters. But Spectra has barely been in any of these movies. Like, I feel like Operetta has been a side character in more of these movies. And I would say Abby is more of a main character than Laguna at this point. Also, Frankie has been the narrator of most of these movies, and yet she doesn't go on this adventure. Instead, we have Hoodooed, who is fun and silly, but he never got a doll. Well, he technically did, but it was a Comic-Con exclusive, so that doesn't really count, in my opinion. Like, these movies are literally designed to sell dolls. Why don't they make dolls of the characters in these movies? It's just weird. In Transylvania, Draculaura finds out that she isn't the queen, and so now her goal is to find the real queen and to show everyone that Stoker lied. So her and her ghoul friends travel around America, more like Ascarica, am I right? That was so bad. They go to New Orleans and meet Honey Swamp. They also meet up with Claudine's older sister, who is a writer, and they all end up in Hauntlywood. They also meet Viperine, who is Deuce's cousin, and they never say that in this movie. But they find the queen, who was actually Draculaura's childhood friend Elisabeth. She ran away because she didn't want all the pressures of being the queen. She just wanted to act. She has been living as Veronica von Boo, who was the main actress in the Twilight movie at the beginning of this movie. It all comes full circle. They go to the premiere of Elizabeth's new movie, and then she reveals to everyone that she is the queen with the real vampire heart, which has been inside Rebecca this whole time, and she decides that she is going to be the queen and act. Happy ending. Freaky Fusion was even more mid than for its camera action. Like, it started off with them chasing this giant monster down the hall, and then Frankie's like, I bet you're wondering how we got in this situation. I hate that. Just start the movie at the start of the movie. Like, when at so the ghouls need to give presentations on their scaritage, but when it's Frankie's turn, she has like nothing to present because both of her parents were created in a lab and she knows nothing about her grandfather, Victor Frankenstein, who created her dad, standard Frankenstein things. But her teacher doesn't like her presentation, telling her that she has a week to redo it. They then meet the hybrid monsters, and Nathan, who is a half zombie, half unicorn, and Frankie share some looks at each other. Frankie, what about Andy? She also kind of has a relationship with Jackson in the webcomics. Frankie is a player. Before the ghouls go into the catacombs to find Rebecca's dad's study so that they can learn more about him, they make it painfully obvious who the fusions are going to be. Rebecca and Draculaura keep on trying to be nice to each other in a way that's like, you go first, no, you go first, no, you go first. Cleo and Torlai are rivals in a way that is kind of flirty, more on that later. Claudine is a meat eater when Venus is a vegetarian, and then Jennifer is fire and Laguna is water. I like how they tried for two of them, but then didn't for the others. Also, Gulia and Frankie are going with them. Once they get into the study, Rebecca tells them not to touch anything, but Torlai, being Torlai, touches something, which happens to be a time machine, which takes them 200 years in the past while Monster High was still being built. And then Torlai instantly runs off, and now they need to go find her. I can't with her. So they all split up to go look for Torlai, but then Frankie and Gulia run into Rebecca's dad, who is giving a lecture, and they meet this quirky kid named Sparky, who tried creating a robot family, and Frankie talks to him and tells him that, like, she was created in a lab, so it is possible to create artificial life. They catch Torlai, they go back to the study, and Sparky follows them, and they travel back to the present, and some of the ghouls fuse, creating Dracubeca, Laguna Fire, Claw Venus, and Cleoli. And to learn how to harness their combined powers, they must go to hybrids to ask for help. I was watching this video where this person was ranking all of the Monster High movies, and they had this one pretty low because the message of to learn someone else's struggles, you need to walk a day in their shoes doesn't really land because the main girls weren't the ones being mean to the hybrids, and I totally agree. Like, yes, it's a good message, but they didn't need to learn it. So they all learn how to harness their new powers, and they use them to beat the monster that Sparky built, remember from the start of the movie? But in the process, Frankie uses up all of her charge, essentially killing her, and they bring her back to life with the power of friendship, pretty much. Which teaches Sparky how to create artificial life. Obviously, he's Victor Frankenstein. And then this movie ends with Frankie giving a presentation about all of her friends, saying that they are her family, which is kind of cute. Haunted is the best Monster High movie because it was actually entertaining as a movie. It has great characters, a great villain, a great romance. We'll get to that in a bit. So this movie starts with the ghouls cheerleading, and Spectra is looking for some hot goss to put on her blog, and Claudine tells her that she'll help with her later, but Spectra is impatient, so she goes to Torlai, who tells her that the werewolves have werefleas. Okay, seeking out minorities. So the actual plot of this movie is Dracula is getting haunted. And so they go and see Spectra. They, as in Dracula, Claudine, Rochelle, Twyla, and Serena, who is a ghost mermaid hybrid, who was introduced in the last movie, but I just didn't talk about her. They go and see Spectra. Once again, where is Frankie? Literally, the last movie was the whole, like, save Frankie thing, and she's in this movie less than she was in Fred's Camera Action. So Spectre tells everyone that the last haunting was done a long time ago by the Red Lady. She haunted the monster realm, and then her punishment was to be chained inside her house. And they all go through this magic portal in the attic, taking them to the ghost realm, and they meet River Styx, and I love her. I had a doll of her as a kid, and she's great. Her name is River Styx, and she sails the river Styx. We also meet Vandala, and she's also cool. Also, Spectra's outfit is different. I know this is for marketing, but shouldn't Serena also get a new outfit? Because she's a ghost too. They then arrive at Haunted High, but then they get kicked out because they're solids. That feels like a slur. Spectra gets yoinked though, because she brought everyone, and then she spills the beans to the principal that there are more ghosts at Monster High. The ghouls back at Monster High decide that they need to become ghost to go save Spectra. Also, Serena is the best character. I need to see more of her. Twyla then brings everyone to her house, the Boogie Mansion, so that they can use Boogie Sand to transform them into ghosts. So they do that, and then they go back to Haunted High. Their outfits also do kind of slap here. Once they're back in the ghost school, they meet back up with Spectra, and we meet Kiyomi and Porter. We also meet the ghosts of past, present, and future, who are the principal's henchmen. Oh yeah, the principal, she's here, she's evil. Porter then gets caught for spray painting and gets detention chains, and then the ghouls split up to learn with Kiyomi how to be ghosts, while Spectra and Porter do research on the principal. They're a duo. I love them. Once they get their together, they learn that there is literally nothing about Principal Revenant in the archives. It's as if she like just never existed. And they want to learn more about her, so they go to talk to her and they learn pretty much nothing. Only that she wants the boogie sand. Kiyomi points this out and they're like, hey, how TF do you know about the boogie sand? Because you weren't there. But it is revealed that Kiyomi was there. She was the one that was haunting Draculaura this whole time. She did this because she wanted to learn about the monster world and how to be popular. Popular. You wanna be popular. I also had canon that she has a crush on Draculaura. Also, how she's able to haunt the monster world is by opening portals with her emotions and like ghost power. I don't know. Porter then goes to help Spectra. They are so cute, but he ends up ratting them out in order to get this like key thing, and Spectra learns that the principal is wearing many chains herself, and she uses said key to move the chains from herself to other people. Okay. I'm gonna try to finish this quickly. So, past, present, and future get the boogie sand, and they use reverse ship to try and turn people in Monster High into ghosts. So, our group of ghouls goes to try to stop them. But Spectra and Porter stay at the ghost school and tell everyone that Principal Revenant has been lying to them. The monsters are nice and not out to get them. She also reveals that Principal Revenant is the Red Lady. She was trying to get rid of all of her chains so that she could haunt the monster world again. So if her punishment was to be chained down, how did she get this device that can remove her chains? Because she does that. She gives all of her chains to Spectra, and she's going to go haunt the mortal world again. But then she's stopped because she gets more chains, because they were actually mental chains put on by herself. I don't know. She then apologizes and takes all of her chains back, and she still gets to be the principal. I don't know why. She's evil. And then this movie ends with a party like pretty much every other movie. Once again, I feel like I didn't do this movie enough justice, especially with Spectra and Porter. They are so cute. Like, he built her a chair for her to write in, which should have been a playset. Monster High Hire Me. But they have so many cute moments, and they should have kissed at the end. Go watch Haunted if you haven't, or rewatch it. It is so good. I have one thing to say. Musical. Okay, I actually have a lot to say about this movie, but the main thing is that it's a musical. And the songs do go hard. Like, the plot of this movie is not the best, but the songs were great, so it doesn't matter. We open up with Cat Noir singing about how she needs to find her love for music again, which is why she quit the pop star business, and, like, the song, it's not the best in the movie, but it's also not the worst in the movie, but it does still kind of slay. So this movie is technically a Cleo movie, even though I feel like it's more of a Catty movie. But her family is invited to New York for the unveiling of a meteorite in a museum, and there's this other famous mummy family that is going. Cleo decides to bring her entire friend group, except for Gulia, who is her best friend, mind you. And Nephra brings Toralei for shenanigans, and Toralei is so flirty with Nephra in this movie. Don't worry, we'll get to gay Toralei in the next movie. So they get there, and then there's another song, which is fine. I think it's the worst one. Their outfits also do not eat, like they actually starved. What is Operetta wearing? She can do better than that. They then meet some new characters who are important, but not really. There's Luna Matthews, who's from Joyzy, and she wants to perform on Bloodway, and then there's this robot girl who keeps on glitching from a, like, comet that's flying overhead. Oh yeah, there's a comet that's flying overhead. The asteroid piece in the museum is from this comet, and then there's this legend that any promise made under the comet's light is unbreakable. Nephra and her father want to use this to their advantage by engaging Cleo to the son of the other rich mummy family, and we get the best song of this entire movie, Empire.
Empire, empire, reign over everything, take over everything, take over the world. Nobody can stop us, nobody can stop us, stop us. Here we go, empire, empire.
This song should have charted globally. It was so good. One of the best villain songs to just exist ever, and I will die on that hill. There is a problem with their plan though. Cleo is already in a relationship, so they with her boyfriend to make him break up with her, which he does in song. And the voice acting is awful. Like, the singing voice actor for Deuce sounds nothing like his actual voice actor. The plot of this movie could have been like 20 minutes shorter if they removed all of the like Toralei stealing Caddy's voice stuff, but the song did slap, so I'm not too mad. I know I've been skipping a lot of this movie. One, because it's kind of boring, two, because I'm low-key so done, and three, because the only important part is the music. Like Caddy and Pharaoh's duet. Oh yeah, Pharaoh, he's this like rapper guy that Caddy met. Um, he's cool. But their duet is so good. As I already said, Empire was great. Toralai's song that she sings with Caddy's voice is great, and even the songs that I said that were like just fine, like they're decent, but compared to the other ones, they're just okay. This movie ends with Caddy finding her love for music again, and then Deuce and Cleo get to stay a couple. So the comet that was flying overhead was actually not a comet. It was a spaceship with an alien named Astronova inside. And Gulia was able to contact her, like while she was in the spaceship, waking her up before her spaceship crashed into Earth. So Gulia single handedly saved planet Earth. The only reason why I bring this up is there's a post credit scene where Astronova calls Apple and Raven from Ever After High. We were robbed of a crossover. There was a crossover book that I did read as a kid. Like, it was good for a kid's book. But there should have been a movie. Like, Mattel owns both. There should have been a movie. There should have been a crossover movie. Last one, we are ending on an awful note because this movie was ass. To start, Claudine jump scare. This is the first and the only movie that was narrated by Claudine and not Frankie. And like, I love Claudine, but I was just so confused. She isn't even the main character of this movie because that's Laguna. This is a Laguna movie, and I don't know how to explain this, but she sounds less Australian. This movie was so bad. It was so obvious that they just made this movie to sell mermaid dolls. Like, at that point, just make mermaid dolls. In fact, you already have a mermaid doll, but Serena isn't in this movie, even though I feel like she should be, because she was in the Ghost movie, so why isn't she in the mermaid one? So Laguna has stage fright, and she was brought to the Great Scarier Reef to face her fears alongside Frankie, Claudine, Draculaura, Gil, and Toralei. Guys, I'm so sick of Toralei. Can we get a new villain, please? We do get a new villain. Her name is Kala, and she was the first villain to get a doll in the initial doll release, which is really weird to me. Like I said, the whole point of this movie was to sell mermaid dolls, and yet they didn't put enough mermaids in the mermaid movie. Also, Gil's design is the best, but he never got a doll like this. And also, why is Claudine purple? Why is she purple? So Laguna decides that she's going to look the Kraken in the eye, because if she can look the Kraken in the eye, then she can do anything. Okay, I know I've been shitting on this movie more than talking about the actual plot, but there just wasn't one. Like, it was a whole lot of nothing, and then it felt like it all amounted to nothing, and like, it was just bad. One thing I do like about these movies is the vibes between Claudine and Toralei. I'm finally talking about how gay these movies are. So Claudine and Toralei, they get this adorable scene where Claudine is telling Toralei about how being a fish has made her less catty, and they're just fully flirting, and it's so cute. And like in the past movies, Claudine's relationship with her friends has felt like a bit more than just friendship. Like the way she was talking to Draculaura in Fright's Camera Action and to Spectra in Haunted was not heterosexual. And then on Toralei's end, we see her flirting with Cleo when they were fused and Nephra in the last movie. And I'm not the only one that ships Claudine and Toralei because they are a canon couple in G3 and we love to see it. So I don't want to end this video with the poop fart movie that is Great Scarier Reef, and I wanted to talk about what Monster High is up to now. Monster High has rebranded twice. Once was only 6 months after the release of Great Scarier Reef, but that flopped, and so they went on a hiatus for a while, and then more recently they rebranded again, but Monster High is back and better than ever, and it is here to stay, hopefully. And they're actually handling representation, like, so well now. They have different body types, they're exploring different cultures, they are actually committing to having queer couples. They have different disability representation, like Frankie has a prosthetic leg. They're also non binary in this. There's this line of witch dolls, which is really funny, because it feels like a Bratzilla's dupe, when Bratzilla's was supposed to be a Monster High dupe. But there's this line of witch dolls where one of them is blind and sees with clairvoyance, and then another one has a hearing aid. That is so cool. They also have autistic representation with Twyla, and I love how she's depicted in G3, and I'm just so happy that Monster High is doing so well now, and that the next generation can have Monster High, because it was my favorite thing growing up, and kids nowadays get to have it too, and it's better than it was when I was a kid. It's like Monster High was progressive for its time, but as I've said, these movies have not aged the best. So it's so good to see Monster High doing so well now. They also did a collab with Cat's Eye. I love Cat's Eye, and I need these dolls. Mattel, please. Thank you all so much for going on this journey with me. I had so much fun working on this video. I still have to edit it, which kind of scares me, but I'm sure I'll figure it out. Sorry if you can see the reflection in my glasses this whole time. Also, if I've been extremely overexposed, I'm still trying to figure this out. Um, if you want to see more of me, you can follow me on Instagram. I'll post updates about new videos on that. And if you enjoyed, make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, all the things. I also want to start streaming on Twitch soon, so if you're interested in watching me play, like, Marvel Rivals, Overwatch, Fortnite, and pretty much anything, you can stay tuned for that. And once again, thank you, and I will see you in the next one.